Hey, at OMR, it's a good tradition to open the festival every year with a keynote that shows what we think, what we have observed over the year in the digital world. This year, obviously, there's no festival, so the keynote, the opening is happening, sitting down, telling you in a web video what we, the OMR team, has thought up and drawn up for you as examples, as maybe inspiring and educating cases from the digital world. Let's go. Obviously, this year was dominated by Corona, or at least the past month were, but not the whole presentation will be. We have some cases that are Corona cases, and we have many cases that are Corona-free, and we believe in the future there will be a lot of real cases and a lot of less Corona cases. Every year we start out analyzing the status of the biggest companies in digital. One of the biggest, the second most valuable company in the world and in digital is Amazon. And we look at how Amazon is doing these days. It is amazing. Even though there's Corona, they're at an all-time high. They've never been better. Amazon is at its peak. And then we asked ourselves, okay, how can that be, and what's happening there, and how are the dynamics beyond just the pure numbers? And what you see then, and what we found is an interesting anecdote, an interesting fun fact, is what's happening with Amazon Prime in Germany. In Germany, there's now 25 million people on Amazon Prime. And we're talking a country with 80 million people in total living here. So almost every third person here is on Amazon Prime. That is now more than the Lutheran Church, the Protestant Church, has members here in Germany. Completely crazy numbers. But that shows the dynamic and the power, and maybe justifies the valuation a little bit. And the same is true for other digital platforms. Look at Apple. Also at Apple, the stock market is almost at an all-time high. It's like went down a little bit during Corona, but it's almost back up. It's just amazing how valuable this company is. But it might also be justified if you look at small examples such as this one. Obviously, the lady in the video is wearing those AirPods, a product Apple has launched not too long ago. And even though it's not an old product, it has been recently launched, it's already doing 7 billion in revenue, just with those AirPods. Crazy numbers. And we compare that to some established European companies. If you look at a Bose, a Puma, or a Red Bull, you see like what they have in combined revenue equals that of those AirPods. Completely crazy that Apple has this one division, or like one little feature in their terms, that's as doing as much money as those three companies at whole. And then another fun fact on the AirPods note, sometimes you lose those AirPods. And Apple is doing, or at least we estimate, they don't really publish it, but we estimate they're doing like almost 700 million in revenue with lost AirPods. And that compares quite nicely to what Bayern Munich, the biggest German soccer club, as a business is doing. They're also doing around 700 million. So Apple is doing with this little like aspect of lost AirPods as much as our biggest soccer business. Then let's take a look at Google. Why, or how is Google doing first? And as all the others as well, they have a little Corona dip, but they're doing well. They're like going strong. No need to worry about Google. And how does their power transfer into new business, and what explains their power best? We had one example that I think shows quite nicely what Google can do, or what you can do in general if you operate such a strong platform. Almost a year ago, or maybe a little longer ago, they decided to go into classified ads, into job ads, into the job market. They want to be a platform where you can find a job and research jobs. So if you type into Google Office Assistant Hamburg, for instance, what you used to find until the 21st of May of last year was this. The search engine result page looked like this. And then from one day to the next, on the 22nd of May, the result page almost immediately looked like this. Completely different. The Google offering was very dominant, and they changed it. And then they made themselves dominant player in job listings and job classifieds. They just created themselves. They created this business out of their power for themselves. And if you look at the visibility of the Google platform in those search rankings. Within like no time, they overtook all competition and they're more visible on Google than anybody else in the job market. That's what they can do. And don't underestimate the power of this. It's not like a revenue number here. It's not like the AirPods, but the power is the same. They can create a company, they can create value out of nothing by just like changing the results in their own favor. Next and last, GAFA company. In Germany, we like to talk about GAFA, Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple. Here comes Facebook. What's happening at Facebook? Also, they're doing as good as ever. They're at an all-time high, very good times for Facebook. And what does that show? And what's the anecdote here that we like to show to illustrate their power? We came up with an example, and now you have to concentrate a little bit. It's the number or the revenue number that companies do in the second year after they started selling ads on the platform. So if you look at the major digital platforms so far, for instance, in year 2 of ad sales, Google has done 400 million in ad revenue, or Facebook has done 320 million in year 2 of ad sales. And then comes Instagram Stories. Just Instagram Stories, the latest feature that you can buy ads against on the Instagram platform, is now doing in 2 years, or in year 2, they're doing 7 billion in ad revenue. That shows how powerful Facebook is, how good they access customers, how strong their marketing, their sales teams are, and how strong the product development in the end is that develops those advertising products. It's just amazing how much money they were able to make with this product in year 2 of its existence. So altogether, if you look at the GAFA companies, they are at an all-time high. They're going strong. They are completely immune to Corona. Same, by the way, is true for the Chinese platforms. Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent. They're also like at a different level, but they're also like really strong. No Corona effects. Good times for digital. Even good times for digital in Germany. Our German companies, they are a lot smaller. They're just 72 billion in aggregated market cap. That's publicly listed, digital-oriented, customer-facing companies that we have. They do 72 billion in total market value, but they're also at an all-time high. And maybe it's also okay for somebody out of Germany to like not only look at its own country, but look at Europe instead. And if you look at Europe, what you see is a complete new landscape. You have publicly listed companies that do internet things, and their market share adds up to almost 300 billion. So it's still not comparable to China. It's still not comparable to the US, but it's at least more than just the German numbers. But there's still a lot of catching up to do, and still of like new business development, new business building, in order to like close that gap a little bit. So after these macro aspects, what we do every year is we try to break down a couple new developments and a couple of phenomena that we think are very typical and have come up in the past month and are very helpful maybe to know about to improve your digital business in the end. And every year we look for a narrative that is our story. And last year we had 7 deadly sins and what they mean for marketing and for digital business. This year, my colleagues have encouraged me to use the narrative of life through a marketing lens. So life through these eyes. My eyes are by default marketing eyes. It's my job. So for instance, if I go and attend the Tour de France, as I did last year, everyone's telling me how important it is to be a sponsor on those Tour de France, on these cycling tricots or jerseys, whatever they wear there. And they have tons of logos on there. And every second that the logo is on the TV screen, or is like in the TV, is quite valuable and important. And I realized that, and then immediately my marketing sense kicked in, and I was like, okay, if that's so important, from a marketing perspective, it's probably quite valuable if those riders, if they fall, because if they fall, then there's a lot of TV attention on them, and the logos are visible all the time. And so I meant it as a joke. And then people were telling me, look, it's true. Actually, we exactly measure that. We count that. If those riders fall, it's really valuable for marketing. And I was like, whoa, this is shocking. I didn't see that coming. And when I shared the story with my colleagues, they were like, okay, maybe we have to use that and use your marketing perspective on the world and just put everything in this perspective. So what is life through a marketing lens? What do we see through this marketing lens? What we've seen in the past month is there's a lot of ideas and situations coming up that bring people together. For instance, people mourning, shootings happening, especially in the US. A lot of demonstrations, a lot of people taken to the streets to fight climate change. And then people here in Germany and across the world demonstrating fast fashion. People are sick of fast fashion. They don't believe it's the right thing to do. So if you look at these things, what we think is happening there, what we see through the marketing lens is a consumer-led revolution, or something that we would like to call the consumer-led revolution. This means that actually there's potential for business or to change business. First and very careful step has been taken by Walmart. What happened there is there was a shooting inside a Walmart. People were mourning. It was probably the final moment when the people at Walmart realized this cannot happen any further. They are selling guns there, obviously, in stores like they sell candy bars in German gas stations. Everybody can pick up a gun there. No surprise, there's shootings happening. So many people don't want that anymore. Even though there's no political regulation, Walmart decided to stop selling guns, and they announced that no guns, no ammunition, nothing is sold anymore at Walmart. That probably cost them 3-digit millions in revenue, and still the stock market accepted it. No dip in the stock price. Everybody was fine with the company reacting to a movement, to a development that was ongoing anyways. And I think that's what you have to do. You have to navigate and feel what the people want and what the society is thinking. And this should guide your business a little bit. And Walmart was doing this carefully, and it hadn't much of an impact on the valuation of the company, at least. Probably was a good story, but the valuation didn't change. But there's other examples where they even used this even stronger and even wrote this story a lot further. One example is a company that's called Oatly. They used the climate change protests and really built their story around those developments. They advertised and they demanded the German parliament or the German government to consider changing the way supermarkets or grocery producers have to label their products. They demand that every product has to show the CO2 impression or the footstep. And in order to get this done, you need 50,000 people to sign a petition, and then you can change this, and at least the government has to address this issue. And that was their marketing story. And the moment they started the marketing story, the attention was so high, you could really see the search volume for Oatly rising up. And then a couple of weeks later, when they finally had those 50,000 signatures, it rose up even higher. So they really wrote this story, this narrative of changing the way groceries are labeled. It's a marketing story that completely just draws from a movement that's there anyways. And even more so, what's happening in fashion these days. People protest fast fashion. And you can not only build marketing on top of that, you can also build business models on top of that, we believe. What we see here in Europe is unicorn companies that do second-hand sales. You can sell your stuff, your used pants, your used shoes, whatever you have, your items through new platforms. They're called, the holding company, for instance, is called Vinted. The products here in Germany are called Kleiderkreisel, Mami-Kreisel. It recently became a unicorn, a new investment into Vinted. But there's these companies all across the world. There's Depop and ThredUp and many more, where you see that a whole new development in society is basically the foundation for complete new business. And I think that's what's interesting, and that's where you can create value. a little smaller example that shows that everybody can use, and not only big corporations or people that are able to pick up a couple $100 million in funding. One example that I really liked that also strengthened this is the local grocery store here in a city in northern Germany, Meyer's Edeka Market, the supermarket in Neumünster. And what they decided is that at the end of the year, for the first time, they don't sell fireworks anymore. Everybody likes fireworks here until recently, until it became too much. And there's now a growing movement, a growing group of people that are like, okay, this is just not right from an ecological standpoint, not right from it's a weird situation where you can drink and be wasted and then shoot fireworks. It just doesn't make sense in today's society, and people realize that, but there's no regulation on that. So those Edeka people, they decide, okay, we take this into our own hands, we change what we sell, and they took away fireworks. And the reaction, the backlash was not negative at all, the opposite. It was really positive. Everybody was like, yeah, finally somebody's acting, finally somebody's doing something. A lot of positive comments and shares and reactions all across social media. This is what you can do. Even with a small supermarket store, you can influence a little bit the way the world is going and the way life is changing, and you can draw very positive marketing or business aspects for your own business if you're honest and if you're authentic about it. Second phenomenon that I think is interesting to look at through marketing eyes. Recently, I saw this movie again, Old School with Will Ferrell, and then he drank through this funnel there. And if you look at this, and then the word funnel came into my mind, and funnel in my mind is always attached to marketing, and obviously it's such a big name or word in marketing. The marketing funnel is all over the place in my head at least. And so it made me realize that maybe the marketing funnel is a concept that's not true anymore. I mean, it used to be you put attention in, you put touch points in, and then at the lower end of the funnel you receive new customers. But I think through modern marketing eyes, it is different. At least the concept has to be extended. There's a new idea in the market, and that's not the funnel, but a new buzzword is in town, and this buzzword is flywheel. You hear it all over the place. People talk about the flywheel. I think what we see is the arrival of the flywheel. And what do I mean by that? Let's take a very successful German company, car rental company called Sixt. This is what they used to do. They set up these small booths all over the world, and you went there at the beginning of your vacation once a year to pick up your car, and then at the end of the vacation you dropped it off, and maybe you rented a car again for business purposes a second time in a year. And that was that. And every time you rent a car again, you check again. You check do I go to Sixt again? Do I maybe go to Hertz or to Europcar, to other providers? And from the Sixt perspective, they lost the customer connection, and they needed to regain the customer connection or come up with a new model. And they invented the flywheel for themselves. And the management at Sixt, I spoke to them, I'll show you in a second, they explained to me how they do it, and it's completely logic. They created an app, and that app is meant to be the basis of their flywheel. You can not only rent cars there, you can also do all your mobility, solve all your mobility problems basically with this one Sixt app. You can share cars, you can share other types, you can e-scooters, other types of vehicles. You can call cabs, sort of like the Uber solution. So this app, you have to never leave the app. If you think mobility, you think Sixt app, and that sort of like keeps the customer within the Sixt universe all the time. They never have to like win the customer over again. They always keep him, and I think that completely changes their business. They are like there's even flywheel concepts I think that are really convincing, where you don't even like profit, or you don't even make money with the first solution that you offer, but you transfer the customer from the first solution to the second, from rental to share, from share to rental, and at some point you make money, and the others are basically just touch points that keep the customer within your universe or your ecosystem. as I said, I talked to the guy, the Alex Sixt, the second generation owner of this company, and he told me they're now doing 1.7 million in revenue per day through the app. He said that the whole underlying principle is this flywheel, and this is how they build their business. And then, if you look closely, I think this concept is not only in apps and not only in digital. Even a company like Lego is doing that. Lego, the toy company making those bricks for kids. How do they do it? They have invented the Ninjago franchise. It's a special word that you probably only know if you have kids. Ninjago, that's the brand. And around this Ninjago platform, they have all kinds of offerings. They have obviously the Lego bricks and toys, and then they have movies, and they have comic books or like magazines. They have all types of offerings. There's like at least 10 to 15 products around this core Ninjago idea. And some of them make money, some of them don't, but they never let you go. They have YouTube. My kids are on YouTube all the time wanting to watch Ninjago, and then the minute we go into the supermarket, they want to buy the Ninjago magazine, and then they want to go to the toy store, they want to buy the Ninjago toys. So it's and in this case, maybe the only or the most interesting digital touch point is YouTube, but it's so strong, and they don't make any money with YouTube, but it completely strengthens the platform, it strengthens the brand, and then forces me to spend on Ninjago elsewhere. But I mean, you see that it has worked well in the past for Lego. But I also want to say that we've been looking all across at least Germany and Europe a little bit and looked for more flywheel cases, and there aren't that many. I think it's still a very early concept. Many companies think strict in those funnel logics, and they think in customer acquisition and customer lifetime values and this. And I think it's fair to do, but you probably have to extend this kind of thinking and think in flywheel concepts. And the fact that we couldn't find that many outside of Sixt and Lego and maybe a couple smaller ones that I want to share here, I think it's a good opportunity to still like develop your own flywheel, and it's a new idea. It's a recent development. But we have more. We have more developments. We have more phenomenons that I want to show you. More marketing lens moments. The next marketing lens insight or perspective that I have is this. 5 years ago, a friend of mine was attending a Mavericks basketball game in Dallas, and Dirk Nowitzki was there, was still playing, and then he shared that on Facebook. And all of his friends and I, we posted it, we commented, and there was like a semi-public post, and everybody could, participate in that, and all the advertisers on Facebook saw what was happening, and they could put their advertising around those posts, and that was the world 5 years ago. And now, 5 years later, I was in a very similar situation at a basketball game, and I didn't share this on Facebook, but I also wanted to inform my friends about what I saw, and have a conversation with them about it, and I shared it on WhatsApp in a WhatsApp group. And then a couple of days ago, I visited the most famous German actor at his home, and we took a picture, obviously, and then I want to show my family and I want to show my friends what happened. And I put this picture in all kinds of WhatsApp groups. So in the end, what I want to show, and I think it's not only true for me, but for like almost everybody, is you don't communicate that much in semi-public spaces anymore. You go into those social one-to-one channels that are closed for the public, that are closed especially for advertisers. There's no tracking, there's no social signals, there's no engagement measuring, nothing. It's a closed shop. And then if you look at how much time we spend in those channels, it's really, really, I think, paramount for companies to deal with that situation, to connect with people in those social channels and those communication situations. I'm spending almost 8 hours every week on WhatsApp. So businesses, I think, have to connect with me around those channels. And that's what I see in the end through my marketing eyes. I see the rise of dark social because it's not accessible anymore. It's dark. There's no insights. One example that we found of a company that really solves this well that has happened to my colleague Rolf. This is Rolf. He enjoys repairing sunblind engines. The engine that makes the sunblind go out and back in, he needed to repair that. So what did he do? He went to the website of this sunblind engine maker, a company called Schellenberg, and surprisingly to see, but very, very like good case to show is they asked you to connect with them on WhatsApp. That's what he did. He sent him the text, and within like a couple of exchanges, he had his new sunblind engine ordered and the problem fixed. And I think that shows perfectly how it has to work, and it's quite strange to see that we couldn't find that many large corporations solving this problem, but like a small sunblind engine company or like sunblind whatever company solving this. Also, my colleague, our editor-in-chief Roland, he needed to sign a new insurance policy, or he needed to like insurance, and he wanted to like do that digitally. And what happened is, he connected with a company called Klaus Versichert, funny name, Klaus Versichert. And also they asked him to connect with them or to communicate with them via WhatsApp. So Roland did, and then after a couple of exchanges, he signed his policy completely digital, and then he was like really like quite hyped about the experience and how well they managed to communicate through WhatsApp. And I think that's exactly what you need to do. That's what you can learn from. And even more so if you want to address a younger audience. This here is my colleague Hannah. She's half my age, and she has an even more excessive, from my perspective at least, social media behavior. She's on Instagram, not surprisingly, all the time. Everybody is in her generation. Here, what you see is like she basically is living on Instagram, and she also wants to consume and shop and buy and sign and order on those platforms. For her, by the way, Instagram is not just the feed, but the platform. It's the communication tool. Instagram is basically a messenger to her, and that's what she expects from people or from businesses that she communicates or connects with on Instagram. And she showed us the example of this company here, a nail studio in Berlin. She connected with them, wrote them a DM, and then a couple of texts later, she had her appointment and she came back to her office with those kinds of nails. This is how you do it. This is where you find those people, and that's where you have to address them and where you have to service them. And I think even more so in an age where Facebook just announced Facebook shops or Instagram shops, commerce will move even closer to these platforms, and you want to be there to connect and to pick up your customer. Next phenomenon through the marketing eyes. A situation I think that my generation is completely used to is this: looking at Netflix and not knowing what to watch on Netflix. It's happening almost, during Corona times every night. Me and my wife were sitting there and like, okay, what do we watch now? It's just very hard to find something. People are like spending a lot of time sitting there and not knowing what to pick. And I think this is also reflected by this development. If you look at what people are in the end then finally watching on Netflix, is TV brands. It's very well-known household name brands for series or for video products, and it's not those niche products. It's the Friends and the Offices of this world that people watch. And if you then look at what those things are worth, it's just crazy. Warner recently paid almost $500 million for 5 years of Friends content. That shows how valuable this is. Because in the end, what we see, in my mind, is people are navigating purely by brands. They're driven by the brand. They're having a problem finding what they want to see. And so in the end, they watch what they know. And I think at least through the marketing eyes again, this shows a marketing or a digital opportunity that we call too much choice. There's just too much choice, and you have to be smart with that and build and tailor your solutions to that problem. This is a situation I think that many people dream of right now, beginning of summer, after a long Corona month. Everybody wants to be at a place like this. But before you get there, you have to get through this. doing all kinds of choices, navigating through all kinds of mobility platforms, travel platforms, picking flights, buses, trains, hotels, all this. It's not easy. And recently startups have come up with a solution for that. I want to show you the solution of Tourlane, a startup based in Berlin. They have said, look, we at Tourlane, what we do is you tell us where you want to go, you dream, we plan, we do everything else for you. We take all the choice out of your life, we make this happen for you. And everybody liked this so much, not only the customers, but also the investors. In the end, Sequoia, one of the best venture capital funds in the world, has invested 50 million into Tourlane because they like what they do. They like how they shape their digital solution to a real world problem. Another example of a company like really managing this well or like maneuvering this well is a German mattress company called Bett 1. Not a very fancy name, but they have beaten the Caspers and they have won the mattress battle that was going on here in the past years. And they have survived with just one product, one mattress. They're selling nothing but one mattress, different sizes, and that's it. They've also like convinced quality experts that they are the number one mattress in the country. And so this is their core product, reduction of all kinds of choices. You can only choose different sizes, and that's just that one product. And they are building revenue. This is 2017 numbers. We have heard around a little in the market. It keeps growing. So very convincing case for product reduction. And also a very funny case that I found recently when I was in that kind of situation. I was in a supermarket aisle looking for the right wine to bring to a party and bring to a dinner party. And I'm not a wine expert. I was like, oh, cool, there's a lot of choice. What do I do? How much do I want to spend? What is there? In the end, what made me buy wine in this case is what this company did. A company from Kiel in Germany, they came up with a wine bottle label that showed exactly what this wine is supposed to go with in terms of food and what food this wine works best with. And so that was easy for me. So they reduced all these choices to just like what's on the bottle, what's the accompanying food, and there you go. Next development, next marketing moment, or next observation we had. A situation that we all are used to is reviewing something, recommending something, commenting on a product purchase. You have it all over the place. Whatever you do, you need to leave a review. Everybody's asking for that, and it's. I mean, you're used to that with your dentist and with your, vacation experience, and maybe your restaurant. But it's even like to the point where you now have to rate your toilet. And so this is a completely wild development. I think, and through this marketing perspective, what I see there is something that could be called the trust struggle. Everybody is striving for trust and is wondering, how can I convince customers? How can I win over their trust? And a company that's really, really outstanding in this is a German music company, or a retail company. I researched a keyboard, the Yamaha PSR keyboard. And what I found is 3 places to shop this keyboard. At Mediamarkt, a German electronics chain, at Amazon, or at the company I was just talking about, Thomann, a local German company doing extremely well, almost $1 billion in revenues with just music instruments. So the question is, how do they do that? How can they survive? How can they defend themselves in times of Amazon? Why are they in this picture? I mean, I understand that Amazon is there. I think there's good reason Mediamarkt is there. There's a huge company, big tradition, a lot of cash flow from the stores, so they can be there in the digital marketplace. But why is Thomann there? What are they doing right? And I think the magic here lies in reviews and in customer ratings. This is what you see when you look at the ratings first. Mediamarkt only has 1 rating, Amazon has 27, and Thomann has 55. So they have more ratings. That's easier to do. But then Mediamarkt and also Amazon have ratings or reviews that don't help at all. Nice product, whatever. That doesn't help. That doesn't influence a buying decision with this kind of type of basket size. With this basket size, you need to have stronger opinions and stronger reviews and stronger, in the end, content. And this is what Thomann really works on. They really like dig deep and force their customers to leave very like helpful, very insightful, very deep reviews. Look at this, how much text they have. Really, this is content for them. They understand that the content that they need is their reviews, the reviews they get from the customers. And this is what's changing the game completely for them. That's what's keeping them in the game, is being the specialist that has this kind of content offering. And if you dig a little deeper into how they do it, you see that, for instance, it starts out with just letting real customers give reviews. No? At Amazon and Mediamarkt, everybody can leave a review. That's not valuable. You're inviting fake reviews. You have to make sure that only your real customers, only then it's helpful for others. What they also do is they make sure that you can't just review with an emoji. You have to have text. Obviously, they verify reviews. They describe exactly how they verify reviews. It's just, there's a whole team. We try to talk to them about it. There's a team, couple of people that are doing nothing but like managing reviews for every instrument group. It's crazy how much focus they put on this type of content, but in the end, it's their lifeline. It's the reason why they are still existing in our mind. It's the service, and service is content. In this case, content is reviews. Another company, another industry that's interesting to look at from a review perspective is banking. Classical banks are like always getting beaten up, or they're used to getting beaten up on Trustpilot. The only people that leave reviews are those that are very disappointed and very like enraged sometimes about what they have to deal with, so they leave negative reviews. Then you have those modern banks, the direct banks. They do a little better there. The products maybe a little better, but still, like if you look at the amount of reviews they have, and then the quality, it's not really helpful for them. And then here come the neo banks, the challenger banks in Germany, especially N26, but also you have Monzo, you have many others in Europe that are occupying this space. And what they're doing is they're playing the review game completely different. And you see the first results there. They have tons of reviews, or way more reviews than everybody else. And also they have positive reviews. And make no mistake, the product is the same. I mean, they have the same problems, they have the same issues with the product than every other banks, but they just managed to get better reviews. And the way they do it is fascinatingly simple. And what they do is, they do this. They invite customers, and I'm talking about every customer, also the happy customers, to just leave a review. They actually address the topic. They ask the customers to now leave me a review. And then some customers maybe feel annoyed and just ignore the request. But others are just leaving a positive review because they're happy with the product. I mean, the product is not only bad. There's a lot of people that are happy customers, and they get reviews from those people. And then in the end, they manage to have a 90% score, 90% of happy, positive reviews. And they're just beating everybody on Trustpilot and on those rating platforms. It can be so simple. And if you don't believe that stars and reviews and ratings are important, then take a last look at this example. This is a necklace, jewelry product that was sold on Facebook recently. We talked to the owner of this company, or talked to the one that there posted those ads. There are two ads, and the one ad says, "We dream in jewelry," and the second ad shows an Amazon review for this necklace, and those 5 stars that you all got to know through Amazon. And now the results of these ads are just astonishing, I think. 20% more revenue in this review-based ads, where they basically just copied the Amazon review text into the ad, and that drives revenue like crazy. So this is, I think, shows the power of reviews and ratings. And I think if you take nothing out of this presentation, maybe the one thing you can take out is think about your review and your ratings strategy. It's something that you have to address, and it's getting more and more important every year. So in my mind, on me looking at life through the marketing eyes, and this is my passion, and I really like what I see here. 5 new ways to maybe increase your business or create your own future is jumping on the consumer-led revolution, is finding your own flywheel, the flywheel for your business. I almost sound like some kind of guru. Find your own flywheel. The flywheel for your business. Manage the rise of dark social. Reduce choice. And then address the trust struggle. Thank you for listening. There was OMR Keynote 2020. The Corona Keynote was made with input from our partners, important partners helping us: Adobe, Systrix, Statista, eTribes, Northdata, and those guys that sent me those glasses that I liked and that helped me through this presentation. And also, I wasn't the only one preparing those slides. There was a whole team helping me. The guy in the middle right, Scott Peterson, is in charge of me speaking English at the poor level I'm speaking at, but maybe next year Scott and I will get better. Thank you for listening.